You probably think your focus has gotten worse because you lack discipline or motivation. That is the story most of us tell ourselves. We assume we are the problem. But what if that's not true? What if your attention is not failing, but it's being shaped? If you feel more distracted than you used to, that is not random. It did not just happen because you got older or lazier. The environment around us has changed dramatically since the introduction of smartphones, and your brain has been adapting to it. There was a time when boredom was normal. You would stand in a queue and just wait. You would sit in a room and let your mind wander. Even watching television had a clear beginning and an end. When the show finished, it finished. Now there's no natural end point. The stimulation never runs out, and your brain has quietly adjusted to that constant availability. Most people open their smartphones for something small. They check a message, look something up, or reply to something quickly. Then 20 minutes passed and somehow they are watching something completely unrelated. They're not even sure how they got there. Afterwards, there is that slightly wired, slightly empty feeling. You're not fully satisfied, but you are not exactly relaxed either. And then the thought appears that you should have more self-control. I've done this more times than I can count. I open my phone for one simple reason and end up somewhere else entirely. Then I look at the time and feel that small drop in my stomach. Not because anything terrible happened, but because I did not choose how I spent that time. I kind of got hijacked. And this is where most people, including me, get it wrong. Modern platforms are not neutral tools. They are designed to hold attention for as long as possible. Infinite scrolling removes the natural stopping cues that older forms of media had, which means there's no real end point. Notifications create anticipation loops that pull your focus outward. Short-form content compresses stimulation into tiny bursts so your brain gets used to constant novelty. And behind all of that are algorithms that learn what keeps you engaged. They quietly adjust what you see based on what makes you pause, what you replay, and what you react to. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is a successful business model. Attention equals revenue. The longer you stay, the more valuable you are. And your brain responds to novelty and reward in very predictable ways. That does not make you weak, it just makes you human. The problem is not that you are broken. The problem is that the level of stimulation you are exposed to is historically unprecedented. When your attention is constantly pulled outward, something subtle shifts inside you. Deep focus becomes harder. Sitting with one task without checking something feels uncomfortable. Boredom feels louder than it used to. Silence feels strange, and even rest can feel restless. A lot of people think that they are exhausted, and in some ways they are. But what often looks like low energy is actually overstimulation. You can feel tired and wired at the same time because your nervous system has been running on constant input. It is that strange state where your body feels exhausted, but your mind will not switch off. You scroll because you are too tired to do anything meaningful, but you are too stimulated to actually rest, so you kind of hover in between. When that becomes your normal baseline, anything slower feels wrong. That is why meaningful work feels heavy, while reading a book feels harder than it used to, and while you can scroll for an hour but struggle to concentrate for 20 minutes. It's not a character flaw at all. It's human conditioning. If nothing changes, this does not just affect productivity, it affects your ability to enjoy slower parts of life, conversations, creative work, and even relationships. Real life does not move at the speed of a swipe, and when your brain expects constant novelty, normal life can start to feel dull. That is when people think something is wrong with them. Now here's where people usually try to fix it. They decide to use more willpower. They promise themselves they will check their phone less. They set app limits. They feel strong for a few days, then they slip. And when they slip, they assume it proves they lack discipline. But what if your environment is engineered to fragment your focus? Willpower will always feel fragile. You cannot out-discipline a system designed by thousands of engineers whose full-time job it is to reduce friction and keep you engaged. Trying harder just creates internal tension. You feel like you are constantly resisting something. Think about that for a moment. Entire teams of people are testing colors, sounds, layouts, timing, and reward loops to keep you engaged. And you are sitting there thinking you should simply try harder. That is not a fair fight. Changing the environment removes friction instead of fighting it. That is the shift most people never consider. You do not have to throw your phone away, and you do not have to disappear from the internet, but you do have to become intentional about where your attention goes. Start small. Turn off non-essential notifications so your phone is not constantly calling out to you. Move distracting apps off your home screen so they are not the first thing you see. Give yourself one contained window where you can scroll instead of grazing all day without noticing. Those changes are not dramatic, but they interrupt automatic behavior. They give you a moment of awareness before you react. And that moment is where control begins. When I realized my attention was being engineered, I stopped trying to use more willpower. Willpower had never worked long term. Instead, I built a system around my phone that made it harder to use mindlessly and easier to use intentionally. If you want to see exactly what I changed, this video right here breaks down the system step by step, because the issue was never discipline, it was design. And if you want help working through this in your own life, I offer one-on-one sessions. Check out the link below, and remember to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.